candy, sweets, sweetmeats. Whatever you choose to call them, these sugary treats have brought confectionery joy to people from all walks of life for thousands of years. But, of course, since we're talking about it on this channel, there have been moments in our history where instead of satisfying a sweet tooth or two, candy has been involved in incidents of a much more macabre nature, such as the horrific poisoning of hundreds of people in the Bradford Sweets incident. Bradford, England in 1858 was a rapidly booming city thanks to the Industrial Revolution and the thousands of jobs it provided through textile mills. With a population of over 180,000 people, Bradford was the perfect place to set up shop for anyone aspiring to sell goods, which is exactly what candy seller William Hardaker did. Locally known as Humbug Billy after his popular sweets made with peppermint humbugs, Hardaker bought his candy from a local supplier named Joseph Neal and then sold them in central Bradford at the Green Market from a stall. Victorian-era England did not have many regulations on ingredients used in food and drink, so it was common practice for suppliers to include additives and substitutes for ingredients that were expensive to buy to ensure competitive prices and profitability. Sugarcane could not grow in England's climate, so the price of sugar was usually incredibly high and was sometimes referred to as white gold, so Joseph Neal, like many others, took up substituting some of the sugar in the candy with powdered gypsum. Also known as daff, powdered gypsum is a white powder made from soft mineral rocks and is non-toxic to consume, though today it is typically only used in building materials such as drywall. In 1800s England, however, daff was a cheap alternative to using the full amount of sugar in candy batches and other types of edible goods. Neal purchased his daff from a local pharmacist in Shipley by the name of Charles Hodson, but in October of 1858, something went terribly wrong. In need of the powdery substitute, Neal sent a person in his employ to pick up more of the daff for his candy orders. The employee returned with a 12-pound bag of powder, and then James Appleton, an experienced candy maker in Neal's employ, got to work mixing the ingredients and making the candy. Appleton began feeling ill and experienced pain in his arms and hands, but finished the batch of peppermint humbugs, which looked a bit different than usual. 40 pounds of those humbugs were then purchased by Hardaker at a discounted price due to the unusual color and were to be sold the following days at his stall in central Bradford. Appleton continued to grow more ill in the following days, experiencing extreme pain and vomiting, as did Hardaker, who sampled the unusual-looking candies upon his purchase. Both men were unsure why they fell ill in such a way, but neither could have guessed the real cause of their sudden illness. They were poisoned. Arsenic is a chemical element that is toxic to humans, especially when consumed in high levels. In the Victorian era, however, arsenic was not viewed as a poison, but as a remedy for an array of ailments from asthma to flawed skin complexion. It was a common item in pharmacies and grocery stores in a white powdered form. When Neal's employee arrived at the pharmacy on that fateful October day, instead of daff, he was accidentally sold arsenic by Hodskin's more inexperienced assistant, William Goddard, which was stored right near the daff and was poorly labeled. Both powders were so similar looking that no one had noticed the error, and so 12 pounds of the poison was mixed into the candy, the same candy that Hardaker was now bringing back to his stall to sell in the center of a busy and unsuspecting public, which is exactly what he did that night. The first reported victims were two young boys who died suddenly after displaying signs of poisoning, but police first suspected cholera as the culprit, which was a bacterial disease and a leading cause of death in England at the time. It wasn't long after until they realized that they were wrong. Hundreds of people began to experience extreme pain in the abdomen and throat, vomiting, diarrhea, intense thirst, vertigo, and continued retching. Police investigated the sudden boom of public illness and quickly realized that all of these victims consumed candy from Hardaker's stall. This brought them to Hardaker, who was experiencing these horrible poisoning symptoms himself. Hardaker immediately directed police to Joseph Neal, his supplier, who then directed them to the pharmacy where the daff was purchased, and it was here that the accidental sale was discovered. It was reported that each piece of candy contained enough poison to kill 2 people, and Hardaker sold 5 pounds of it to unsuspecting members of the public, violently poisoning approximately 200 people and killing 21, including those 2 young boys. Neal, Goddard, and Hodson were put on trial for manslaughter, but none were convicted, and the incident was chalked up to be the result of a series of tragic errors. This incident, and the following public outcry as a result, eventually led to the Pharmacy Act of 1868, which limited the sales of dangerous drugs and poisonings to qualified pharmacists in the United Kingdom, and further acts were put in place to lessen the adulteration of food and drinks to help prevent a similar tragedy. Though the Bradford Sweets poisoning was tragic, the incident could have been much, much worse, as the total amount of arsenic in all 40 pounds of candy contained enough poison to kill 2,000 people, but luckily police realized what happened quick enough to prevent the worst from happening. It just goes to show that even when you stop to enjoy the sweeter things in life, sometimes, no matter what you do, there can be more sinister consequences that await. Thank you so much for watching another episode of Macabre. Please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you're interested in more content. If there is an event, person, cryptid, or any other macabre or supernatural topic you'd like to see next, please let me know down in the comments. Thanks again, and I look forward to creeping you out again soon.